Hey guys, today we are going to do a couple practice problems on completing the square just to make sure we keep that skill sharp. In order to complete the square, we have to have a lead coefficient of 1. But right here we have a lead coefficient of 3, so we are going to divide every term on both sides by 3. So we'll have x squared plus 1/3 x minus 4 equals 0. Then our next step is to make room for a new c. So this minus 4 has to switch sides. So we have x squared plus 1/3 x, and then room for a new c equals positive 4, and room to match the new c on the right side. Okay, now to find that new c, I do half of b, so it's 1/3 divided by 2, and I'll make that 2 over 1. So that will get me half of b, and I square it. So half of b squared. Okay, so our outer loop gives us a numerator. 1 times 1 is 1. And the inner loop gives us a denominator. 3 times 2 is 6. So it's 1/6 squared, which is 1 over 36. So our new c, half of b squared, is 1 over 36. So we are adding 1/36 to both sides. Okay, now we need to factor this left side. Okay, so two ways to go about it. One, we could find the two numbers that multiply to 1/36 and add to 1/3. Okay, and the other way, the simpler, the shortcut, is just to take half of b, which is 1/6, and that's our number. 1/6 times 1/6 is 1 over 36, and 1/6 plus 1/6 is 2/6, which is 1/3. So it's x plus 1/6 times x plus 1/6, which is x plus 1/6 squared. Okay, then on the right side we have 4 plus 1 over 36. Okay, so there's our decimal. We hit the math key and then enter, and we get this fraction, 145 over 36. So now we want to get rid of this squared. So we square root both sides, and when we square root, squared and square root cancel, and on the right side we're going to have a plus or minus. So we have x plus 1/6 equals plus or minus the square root of 145 over 36. Okay, this 145, 5 goes into 145. I want to see if there's any square numbers, but let's just start with 5. 145 divided by 5 is 29. 5 is prime, 29 is prime, so I'm not going to be able to simplify the square root of 145. But I know the square root of 36 is 6. So this will simplify to x plus 1/6 equals plus or minus the square root of 145 over 6. And then I can move this 1/6 over to the other side, and I'll sneak it in right in front of that plus or minus. X equals negative 1/6 plus or minus the square root of 145 over 6. Okay, we're going to try one more of these. Our first step is to get a lead coefficient of 1, so I have to divide everything by 2. So I have x squared minus 1/2 x plus 2 equals 0. Okay, now that the lead coefficient is 1, it's possible to complete the square, so I'll move this old c over, and that makes room for a new c. And I have a blank to match the new c on the right side. Okay, so for our new c, we take b, which is negative 1/2, divide it by 2, and square it. So we're doing half of b squared. Okay, so I'll get 1 over 4, and that's a negative. So it's negative 1/4 squared. And that is positive 1 over 16. So I'm adding 1/16 to both sides. Okay, now to factor this, I'll just go right here to half of b. It's negative 1/4, which tells me negative 1/4 times negative 1/4 is 1/16. And negative 4th plus negative 1/4 is negative 1/2. Okay, so I can just simply go right here to half of b and get my factored form. X minus 1/4 squared equals negative 2 plus 1/16. Math, enter, enter, and we get negative 31 over 16. And then I will take a square root of both sides, and that gives me plus or minus the square root. And these cancel, so I get x minus 1/4 equals plus or minus the square root of 31/16. I'm going to move this right here and simplify this radical, so I get x equals positive 1/4 plus or minus. 31 is a prime number, so it's not going to be able to be simplified. The square root of 16 is 4, so I've got the square root of 31 over 4.